in this video we're going to look at how to hold a flute. So we're going to need our science to help us just a little bit. You'll notice that on the flute, the heaviest part is actually where all these rods are. Now the heaviest part is going to tip because the heavy things wants to fall, right? So the ideal position for the flute is one so that the heaviest part is balanced so it doesn't want to fall. And that will make the flute as close to weightless as carrying something can be. So what we need to create is what's called a 3-point pivot. We want a force from our chin that goes across. We want a force from our left hand that goes towards us, and we want a force from this hand that goes across that way. So now when I say force, I don't mean pushing. I mean that there's like from a science or physics perspective, forces have directions. So if I put the flute under my bottom lip and I put my left hand pushing across almost like a karate chop, and then I get this hand. Now I'm not going to put it underneath. If I put it underneath, I have a force going up, and I have two forces, a force going in and a force going across. And so what I have, you can see already, even as I try and demonstrate it, is I have something quite unbalanced. If this force goes across so that it's not quite underneath, but a little bit to the back, so almost like a 45-degree angle to the back there, now I have a balanced position, and it's effortless, even with me talking. So disrupting the balance, the flute is sitting stable. It's not tempted to fall back. So grab your flute and try and do a 3-point pivot. Maybe sit on the bed or something so that if you did drop it, then it's not going to get damaged. So find that point pivot. If you find your thumb is too far underneath, you'll start to feel it tip. So put the thumb a little bit behind, and notice this thumb is not even involved. I don't need it to keep stable. Now, if you watched my first video about how to assemble the flute or how to put the flute together, you'll notice I talked about two positions for the mouth joint, head joint. I talked about the embouchure hole being in line with the keys, which is the bone position, or the embouchure hole being in line with the rods, which is the rock stroke position. So if you use the rock stroke position, that actually puts the heaviest part of the flute on top. So when I'm holding it, you'll see that my keys are actually facing the camera. They're not facing the ceiling at all. And if they're facing the ceiling, what happens is my heaviest part of the flute is to the back, and so the flute's going to tip. If I have the keys facing the front, my embouchure hole hasn't changed. It's still going to be available for me to blow, but the keys are facing the front just a little bit, enough that those rods are balanced, and the force is straight down through the flute, so it's not toppling, as opposed to the force being sideways and making the flute topple. Now there's another benefit to this, and that is when we play, we want everything to be in alignment. If you're trying to do this position and you're kinking your wrist overly here, then that's putting strain on muscles we don't want. So you can see that my hand is reasonably straight here, and that's what, when we've got our fingers on the keys, that's what we want. And same here. If you notice in the camera that when I've got my flute, to put it here so I can talk, you can see that this is in alignment. If I put my keys on top, look what happens. So what we want is nice aligned position. And notice that as I'm doing it, my elbows are down. Elbows aren't up like chicken wings. Elbows are down just with gravity. Everything is relaxed. So that's how to hold. Can't do it while talking. That's how to hold the flute. There. Now, when we play, there's one more thing to think about for holding the flute, and that is where we put the flute. Well, you notice I didn't pull my arm back. So I didn't stand facing the camera, pull my flute horizontal and parallel to the camera and parallel to my body, and then I had to pull my elbow back to do that. So instead, I'll stand 45 degrees to the side of the camera, and then I turn my head. So here's my head straight, here's my head turned. Again, probably 45 degrees, maybe not quite. And then I can put my flute in its balanced position, and you'll see that my elbows are not behind my body. My elbows are straight, my shoulder blades aren't sticking out, not that you can see that in the camera, but everything is flat and aligned and balanced. So that's the last thing about practicing balancing the flute. Make sure your head is turned to the side and then find your balanced position there. Okay? In the next video we'll look at where to put our fingers on the flute.